got some interesting Western Conference games coming up here. The Lakers are playing the Timberwolves tonight, which podcast will come out. Then they got a couple of games over the weekend with the Clippers. And, one of the things that we've seen develop over the last couple of days as the Warriors continue to win without Jimmy Butler, and with Jimmy Butler, that'll guarantee they'll lose tonight in Orlando, even though Orlando has been awful for like 2 months now, is really this kind of evaluation on, just how many teams in this Western Conference can actually win this thing. And, there's a perpetual disregard for the Thunder. There's nothing I can do, nothing that Bontemps and I believe the Thunder are leaders to win the West. Where are you at, MacMahon, on the Thunder? Do you believe, are they your favorite?
Yes, I believe the team that has the best point differential in NBA history is the favorites in the Western Conference.
Well, apparently that's a hot take. Apparently that's a hot take, because I said as much on NBA Today yesterday, and our social team put it out with like the eyes emojis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But anyway.
What a concept.
I mean, they have a 9-game lead. They have the best point differential in the history of the league. I mean, how could you say anybody else is the favorites?
Seems like a pretty good case to me. What do I know?
All right. But in the spirit of paying attention to what's happening in the West, where the Lakers and Warriors are surging, Denver is surging, I want to have a frank conversation. I don't want to know how many contenders you think are in the West, because contenders is a fungible word that can mean a whole bunch of different things. I want to know, how many teams do we think can win 12 playoff games in the Western Conference? 3 series, first to 4, that's 12, MacMahon. How many teams can win 12 games and reach the finals? How many places do I need to make hotel reservations? I've got them in Oklahoma City.
That's the question. How many reservations do I need for the finals?
That's right. I've got them in Oklahoma City. I've got them in Oklahoma City, Cleveland, and Boston. That's where I've got them right now. I'm prepared to expand my list.
Well, Denver, you have to. Come on. Denver's got to be there.
All right. Okay, well, let's start.
I have 4 cities saved.
Okay, go ahead. Let's hear
I have those 4 cities: Cleveland, Boston in the East, Oklahoma City, and Denver in the West.
So you're saying you think Denver and Oklahoma City, in your view?
I'm giving Nikola Jokic the credit as being the best player on the planet and thinking he can win 12 games. He also has won 12 games. I think Denver is good enough to do it. I think they have certainly improved as the season has gone on. And most importantly, they have Nikola Jokic as arguably the best player, and they have Jamal Murray looking like the Jamal Murray from 2023 again, finally. So I think that gives them a chance to get through. But to me, the Thunder are the clear and obvious favorites. I think they're the fairly massive favorites to get to the finals. And like I said a couple weeks ago, I think it's at this point a real disappointment if the Thunder don't make it to the finals. I mean, you could talk about how young they are. You could talk about all these other things.
Yes.
Like MacMahon said, this is a team with a historic regular season, and there's not a team sitting out there like Boston or arguably even Cleveland in the West. So, yeah, I think it's Oklahoma City. I'm giving a tip of the cap to Denver, and no disrespect to everybody else, but I don't see anybody else is getting there. And I will say, look, people are going to get mad in LA and other places. If we would have said 1 year ago today who was going to make the finals in the Western Conference, we wouldn't have had the Mavericks in there. And they went 18-2 down the stretch and got out of the play-in and went on a crazy run and got there. So is that to say that somebody couldn't emerge? Sure. But as we're sitting here on
that's
February
why this
27th,
is a relevant conversation, because we've had
where it sits.
2 years ago we had a play-in team and the Lakers make the conference finals, and last year we had they were the 5 seed, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
they won 2 years ago in the East. We had a team make the play-in, come out of the play-in to make the finals.
Yeah. So the Mavericks won 3 straight series where they were the road team to start. I'm sorry. I was looking at my hotel reservations for the finals. I just now canceled Philadelphia.
No.
I think that was a safe call.
Yeah.
Are you sure that second thing? Are you sure you want to cancel this?
You can cancel the play-in reservations there too, I think, at this point.
Yeah. So MacMahon, how many places do you got reservations still? Where else are you canceling?
Well, and I made mine a while ago. I did make Memphis. I did make Minnesota. We're just talking West, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Memphis, Minnesota, Denver, and OKC is what I've got.
Are you retaining those reservations?
I mean, yeah, because I've got them. So still within the realm of possibility. I do not have it.
For the purposes of this exercise, not actually, are you holding reservations in those places? You're saying you think Memphis was winning 12, can win 12 games, not that they're going to.
I think it is very unlikely. I would say I don't think they have a 5% chance. I don't think Minnesota has a 5% chance. If 5% is like I think
we're going to use the Daryl Morey rule. What teams have a 5% chance?
I think OKC's about 50. I think Denver's about 35. I think the Lakers, maybe you could talk me into the Lakers cracking 5%. And then I think we're trickling in some single-digit ones, one of which I wouldn't have to get a hotel anyway.
I know the Lakers just beat the Nuggets in Denver for the first time in, I think, 3 years. I'm going to need to see them win a few more games like that before I'm putting them in that category, as well as they've played and as good as they've looked of late.
Well, the reason I put the Lakers in the 5% category is LeBron is still playing at a no-brainer all NBA level. And obviously the guy is, he's been to umpteen finals. And Luka is absolutely capable of carrying a team to a playoff series victory at least once or twice during a playoff run. So, when you've got two of the top, I'm going to say 8 players in the league, then I think you've got a 5% chance to win your conference.
Yeah, to me, with the Lakers, it all comes down to whether or not this defense is legitimate. If the way that they're playing defense, which is wing heavy, pack the paint, allow a lot of threes. We were running the numbers today. The Lakers coming into this game tonight against Minnesota. The day everyone's got circled is January 15th. Since January 15th, they're like 15-4. They are number 1 in defensive efficiency in that time, and they've allowed the 3rd most 3-point attempts in that time. So what J.J. Redick is doing, and their team has changed a lot in that time. And I think Anthony Davis played, I think, of those 19 games, I think Anthony Davis played in 7 of them, 7 or 8. So it's not a clean, comparison going forward. But in that stretch, they've played essentially this system where they're protecting the paint with their wings because they don't have tremendous rim protection with their bigs. And so the question is, do I believe, or anybody believe, that defense can hold up? I think it's an interesting maneuver from J.J. Redick, who certainly, as the 3-point shooter, he may believe that more people are taking high volume threes than should, and maybe that they can lean into that. And I certainly think if you're going to play that way in a series, you're risking getting exposed every now and then. And of course, it depends on who you're playing. If they keep the defense up, and I'm not saying number 1, but if they continue to win games with decent defense, I will entertain the possibility to the point where I may make reservations in LA.
Ooh.
I just know that Luke, not the way Luka's playing right now, but I know that Luka can carry a team through a playoff series. And I know LeBron, maybe not through a whole series, but certainly could be the difference in 2 games in a series. And I respect that. If their defense can get it close, LeBron and Luka can bring it home. That's the best way to say it. And so I'm going to make Denver. I think I'm going to make LA too.
What about the Bay?
We'll see if Brian's a true ESPN employee. He's already gone off the deep end on the Lakers. We'll see if he can go off the deep end on the Warriors.
No, I'm 5%. So you're saying they failed to make the 5% rule.
They're starting Jackson Hayes at center.
I agree, and they're
as we talked about on the last podcast, I don't care about basically all of the games before Saturday. So, come back to me on March 21st and I want to look from Saturday to March 20th when they play the Bucks.
Okay,
again.
well, March 21st, I can cancel the reservation, but I think I'm going to make them.
I mean, it's your list. That's just I don't buy. I'm not worried about their defense over the last month.
I am, because I know they're going to score. As I ignored them for the first part of the season, and I was considering putting a ban on talking about them. It was because I can't take a team ranked 24th in defense seriously. So if that's my rule, I have to take seriously a team ranked first in defense.
Also, we were going to talk about them after they traded for Luka, whether they were ranked 34th in defense.
Not on this pod. We don't have to do it.
Oh, yes, we would have.
Look, the other night.
I got books to sell. We were going to talk about
it. Exactly. And the other night, I mean, there were stretches of the game where Austin Reeves was guarding Kyrie Irving and had to do it. So that's all I would say I'm not really buying that as a team that's got the number one defense in the NBA. So let's see where they're at after the next few weeks.
I'm also skeptical on the 6-week defense thing, but you cannot deny the star power.
Sure.
And as far as Jackson Hayes being the starting center, I think he'll play like a dozen minutes a game in the playoffs. I think they're going to do.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm not saying Jackson Hayes is going to be a 35-minute player. It's a massive liability to their team. They have no size to the point where the Lilliputian Mavericks were killing them on the boards.
All these teams other than Oklahoma City have liabilities.
Well, that's why I think the list ends at 2, and I'm only going 2 because Denver has the best player on the planet.
Hold on, what about old Splash and Crash, Steph and Jimmy?
But look, the Warriors have gotten off to a great start with these guys. They have a lot of the same problems that the Lakers do. I think they're a more balanced team than the Lakers overall. They're probably not quite as good offensively. I think they're overall much more solid at the defensive end. But ultimately, you're talking about a tiny roster that when you're going through the playoffs in the West, they're going to have a lot of time. They're going to have a lot of difficulty beating some of these bigger, more physical teams as they go through. And you're also talking about a roster where you got 3 guys 35 and older in Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy that you're relying on to carry you for the next 4 months. And I think the odds are those guys are not going to hold up over that stretch either.
So MacMahon, if you were starting from today and you didn't have pre-existing reservations that you made months ago, where would you make them? Because you're hedging by saying that you're not canceling, but give it to me.
Yeah, OKC and Denver, and then I might make one in LA. I'd consider it. Depending on the rate. If the rate was really good.
All right. No, worry about the rate. I'm just the concept. Now, I'm not actually talking about the mechanics of holding the room.
Oklahoma City and Denver, I think you're 85 to 90% between those two.
Are you putting down a deposit for a table at the bar previously known as the Pink Parrot? Are you confident enough to put down a non-refundable bottle? I don't even know the term.
Well, first of all, I don't think it's a bottle service type of joint, nor do I do bottle service.
No.
But yes, I will go ahead and make a reservation there, considering that I'm on scholarship. I'm very confident. Yes. It's the GOAT, opening up as a sports bar, the GOAT. Shout out. Also, the Tipsy Tiki right there on the river. We'll be hanging out at both of them, Wendy.
I will say this. The GOAT is a great name for a sports bar. It's a great name for a sports bar.
It's not bad.
Look, if you just did a blank, I'm going to need to see them win a few more games like that before I'm putting them in that category, as well as they've played and as good as they've looked of late.
Well, the reason I put the Lakers in the 5% category is LeBron is still playing at a no-brainer all NBA level. And obviously the guy is, he's been to umpteen finals. And Luka is absolutely capable of carrying a team to a playoff series victory at least once or twice during a playoff run. So, when you've got 2 of the top, I'm going to say 8 players in the league, then I think you've got a 5% chance to win your conference.
Yeah, to me, with the Lakers, it all comes down to whether or not this defense is legitimate. If the way that they're playing defense, which is wing heavy, pack the paint, allow a lot of threes. We were running the numbers today. The Lakers coming into this game tonight against Minnesota. The day everyone's got circled is January 15th. Since January 15th, they're like 50.
As the NBA regular season approaches its final stretch, the Western Conference landscape remains as unpredictable as ever. With high-stakes matchups on the horizon, teams are jockeying for position, and narratives are shifting on a nightly basis. The Lakers face the Timberwolves in what promises to be a crucial game, followed by a pair of contests against their crosstown rivals, the Clippers. Meanwhile, the Warriors continue to defy expectations, stringing together wins even without key players. However, as history has shown, no streak is safe in the NBA, especially when a road trip to Orlando looms, a team that, despite struggling for the past 2 months, has a habit of surprising contenders. One of the most pressing discussions in recent days revolves around a fundamental question. How many teams in the Western Conference truly have the ability to win the whole thing? There seems to be a persistent underestimation of the Oklahoma City Thunder, despite their historic regular season. While some analysts remain skeptical, others, including ESPN's own Tim MacMahon, firmly believe that Oklahoma City should be considered the clear favorite. The numbers support the claim. The Thunder boast one of the best point differentials in NBA history, a statistic that has historically been a strong indicator of playoff success. And yet, when MacMahon vocalized his stance on NBA Today, the social media response was laced with disbelief, as if it were some kind of radical take. But should it be? A team that holds a 9-game lead and is dominating on both ends of the floor, how could they not be the favorites? With the Western Conference heating up, the conversation shifts beyond mere contenders, a word that often gets thrown around without clear definition. Instead, the focus should be on one key metric. How many teams are actually capable of winning 12 games in the West? That's the magic number, 3 best-of-7 series, 4 wins each. The question isn't just about who can compete, but who can actually reach the NBA Finals. So, if we're booking travel for the Finals right now, where do the reservations need to be made? MacMahon is clear in his assessment. He has Oklahoma City penciled in. He also has reservations in Denver, Cleveland, and Boston, recognizing that while the East is a separate battle, the West may come down to just 2 teams. He acknowledges Denver's case. Nikola Jokic remains arguably the best player on the planet, and Jamal Murray is once again looking like the postseason force he was in 2023. Denver has improved as the season has progressed, and the combination of elite talent and continuity makes them a formidable threat. But beyond the Thunder and Nuggets, who else truly belongs in the conversation? Can the Lakers sustain their recent surge? Can Golden State recapture the championship formula? And what about teams like the Clippers, Timberwolves, and Suns who have the talent but lack consistency? The Lakers, for example, are a fascinating case. Since January 15th, they have posted the league's best offensive rating, going 15-4 in that span. However, they have also allowed one of the highest volumes of three-point attempts in that stretch. Their defense, anchored by wings rather than traditional rim protectors, has been effective. But can it hold up in a playoff setting? J.J. Redick's influence on their defensive strategy is evident, and while some might see it as a calculated risk, others view it as a potential liability. The reality is, if this defensive identity is real, and if LeBron James and Anthony Davis continue to play at an elite level, then Los Angeles deserves consideration. The question is whether their recent stretch is an anomaly or a true indicator of postseason viability. For Golden State, the situation is different. The Warriors look revitalized, but the same lingering issues remain: size, age, and durability. Relying on 3 players over the age of 35 to carry the load for 4 months in a brutally physical Western Conference playoffs? That's a tall order. They are balanced, well-coached, and experienced, but they're also undersized and may struggle against the West's bigger, more physical teams. And what about Minnesota and Memphis? MacMahon admits he initially made reservations there, but is he still holding on to them? The truth is, he doesn't believe either has even a 5% chance of making the finals. If we apply the Daryl Morey rule, teams with at least a 5% chance of winning the conference, the list shrinks quickly. Oklahoma City sits at about 50%, Denver around 35%, and then there's a steep drop-off. The Lakers might crack 5% due to LeBron's pedigree, and then it trickles down into single-digit probabilities for teams like Phoenix and Golden State. In the end, this discussion isn't just about speculation. It's about probabilities. History tells us that teams with dominant regular season metrics tend to perform in the playoffs. Oklahoma City has been a juggernaut, and Denver has the pedigree of a defending champion. Beyond that, the margin for error becomes razor thin. Can the Lakers' defense sustain? Can the Warriors' core hold up? Can the Clippers find consistency? These are all legitimate questions, but the answer may already be clear. The road to the NBA Finals likely runs through Oklahoma City and Denver.